Good afternoon, one and all. It is our pleasure that Mr. Niren Mehta is consented to give expert talk on the chartered engineer, professional engineer uh, with certification. It is obtained from Engineering Council UK, and why is it necessary to obtain this qualification? Mr. Niren Mehta has got quite huge experience of more than 2 engineering. He is a professional engineer registered with the Chartered Institute of Highway and Transportation UK. He has expertise in design and supervision of infrastructure and highway projects across the public and private sector. With a wealth of knowledge from managing complex multi-million-dollar road infrastructure projects in both urban and rural environments, he is an expert in the. In addition to his experience in various parts of the world, such as United Kingdom, Bahrain, and India, his duty also entail providing technical guidance and training to fellow engineers and designers. He engages with all stakeholders directly to ensure transportation projects are completed successfully and aligned with the set objectives. He has done bachelor's from GC Modasa, Government Engineering College Modasa, and he has done master's from MS University of. He was my batchmate at the time of ME transportation in the year 2000. So now the podium is yours, Niren. Mr. Niren, you can now further give your expert talk. You can start now. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Suresh, for introducing me, and good morning or good afternoon, everybody. This is a quite unusual topic, which you might have not heard of many things. So I think it will be much better for you to seed some thoughts in your head when you are doing your engineering. And it will be very interesting to discuss with you. I would be happy if we can make this one as more of an interactive session rather than just a boring lecture. So then people will have more fun and we will understand each other much better in that question. Okay, so I will just start my presentation and then we will discuss few things. 1 second. Can you guys see my presentation?
Yes, visibly.
Okay, so again, welcome. This discussion is we are going to going around the path of becoming a chartered engineer or a professional engineer. Some places called professional engineering, but some places called chartered engineer. And this topic holds the great significance for all the engineers present here. We are talking about the engineer. We are not talking about the civil engineer. We're not talking about the mechanical engineer. We are not talking about electrical engineer. This is good for every single person who are considered themselves engineer as a title. Your stream comes later on. So during this presentation, this is a very brief index. I'll be talking about myself, an introduction that I think the Suresh has already introduced me, but I'll just do the formal introduction again. Then we will be dive into brief introduction. The importance of becoming the chartered engineer. Following that, we will be trying to find out, what are the exact benefits of becoming the chartered engineer. That's the first thing that before we dive into other things, which is how to become a professionally registered and the requirements to become a chartered engineer. By the way, this CEng just read as chartered engineer, just for everybody's reference. Then we will also discussing in more details about the routes to become the chartered engineer. Then we will be also discussing about what is a professional review, my personal experience of how I become a chartered engineer, what are the hoops which I gone through, and we'll have a question and answer session in the end. But I would be encouraging everybody who can, ask questions in between. I don't mind being interrupted at all. So let's begin. Firstly, that as Suresh mentioned, that my name is Niren Mehta, and I have completed my bachelor's in civil engineering and master's in highway and transportation engineering from MS University. And I have roughly about 22 years plus experience, and I have worked in India, in United Kingdom, UK, and Bahrain, currently where I'm now sitting. The first question is that what is chartered engineer and how it's different than the engineering which you are currently doing. So you might be doing civil engineering, you might be doing mechanical engineering, you might be doing electronics engineer or anything. Then what is this chartered engineer is all about? So the first thing which we need to understand is this is a professional qualification. So the distinction lies in the fact that professional engineering bodies in many countries aim to enhance engineering qualifications by recognizing the experience gained by the engineers, which is crucial for successful engineering projects. These bodies have specific processes to assess and certify professional engineers. What it actually means by that is that when you are being certified as a professional engineer, there are a lot of professional bodies. In India, it's called Engineer Societies, Indian Society of Engineers. In UK, it's called Engineering Council UK. In the US, there's something else. In Europe, there is called the International Engineers. Many different kind of bodies which are called as a professional engineering council bodies. Comes with the different names and tags, but the idea is behind the whole thing is the same. That when you become only the engineer, which is your university degree, that's been considered only as the theoretical knowledge and understanding of the engineering. But you might have heard many times that people are not employing the fresh engineers because of their professional experiences. And when you move forward to your career, say, for example, like 5 years, 10 years down the line, you've been assessed by the work which you have did in last 5 to 10 years, and nobody's usually bothered about what your basic degree is and what your scores are and everything. So what they're looking for is that how much professional knowledge you have acquired and what you can do for that company or an organization, or even if you're starting your own business, you do need to do and try to solve the day-to-day problems. The chartered engineer or professional engineer is basically that certifies that the candidate or somebody who has gone through various aspect of the professional issues, and he or she has gained the skills which are being verified by the professional bodies, and after those skills, this person is ready to take on any challenge in the world. And this is very crucial for, especially for the clients who are been giving the projects to these companies, where they've been always asking about the question that, how many chartered engineers or how many professional engineers are working on your project. So that's why it's very crucial. And I'll be discussing the various skills and things in the later slides, but that's the essence of the whole point. So your technical knowledge or theoretical knowledge is only a one aspect or one basic skill required to become a chartered engineer, but not all the skills. So in India, as I said, the Indian Society of Engineers is one of the such as professional body, but currently, or for this particular presentation, we will be discussing about the Engineering Council UK. The regulating body oversee the engineering professional in UK and internationally recognized. So it's widely recognized if you go to, say, Europe or Middle East or Australia, even in some parts of UK and sorry, some parts of US, and also it also recognized in Canada as well. And sometimes these qualifications are interchangeable with small exams and stuff. So it's highly recognized Engineering Council UK. There are, as I said, various professional bodies which are called the institutes. So I think I'm not sure about, you might have heard it. It's called ICE, so Institute of Civil Engineers, and CIST, which I have done. These are the kind of professional bodies which I shown here. Let me just get the pointer here. Okay. So under the Engineering Council UK, these are the number of institutes which are working under them. So if you are a mechanical engineer, there is also um, a mechanical professional body, which will be again working under the Engineering Council UK. So all have to go through Engineering Council UK anywhere when you need to acquire this chartered engineer qualification. The Engineering Council UK is responsible for granting titles such as Chartered Engineer. This is IEng called the Incorporated Engineers. And there is also one called the Engineering Technician. Now, to achieve all of these, there is a different side of skill set which is looking for, but the gold plating, the title is Chartered Engineer, but there is also, if you get IEng, that's also good enough. And engineering technicians for the technician people who have started their journey either with a diploma or something, and they became technician. This is also one of the good example for them to be professionally recognized. Now, while the obtaining a bachelor's and master's degree in engineering provides the theoretical and technical knowledge, practical projects in the real world demands additional skills like a project management, health and safety, understanding, contract knowledge, problem solving abilities. These skills are honed through hands-on project work and facing practical challenges. Now, we are all Indians, so we know, if there is no benefit to gain something, we'll not do it at all. So this is the where I'm going to discuss the important aspect, that what are the actual benefits required, or what are the actual benefits you're going to get when you become a chartered engineer. Now, the first important point is that once you become a chartered engineer, your employmentability, or the person who will employ you, have been increased significantly. Now, there is a reason behind it. The first reason is that out of all the engineers which are currently registered in UK working in the industry, only 5 to 7% of people, as per the latest count, are the chartered engineers. So you will be in that small bracket of number of people who are going to be hold that title, which is called chartered engineer. And I'm talking about across all the boards, including the mechanical engineers, civil engineers, electrical engineers, all of them. It's only 4 to 5% people are actually holding this qualification, so that you are beating 95% of people's qualifications straight away. So your employmentability increased substantially. The second thing is that when the companies or the organization will employ you, usually, especially in the UK and Middle East and other places, where they can start charging the client even almost a double the fee. The reason being that there is a high chance of number of people who are working on their project who holds the chartered engineer degree. There is a large chance that this project will be successful, and that will be dealt with the best of the best possible things can be, because the people who've been certified as a chartered engineer, these people have been gone through these sort of problems in their career, and they have been demonstrated that they achieve those skills, that they are ready to deal with any kind of issues which will become in any of the projects. And each projects are, as you know, that different, and they come with a different issues. But if somebody has been dealt with or have experience about it, then there is a high likely chances that these projects, the projects will be successful. So the clients are usually ready to pay for more money. And obviously, once your companies get more money, you will be also being given a quite hefty sum of additional money if you hold these sort of qualifications. Second is that this qualification, as I mentioned earlier, it's the internationally recognized qualification. So if you say that I'm the chartered engineer from UK, even in India nowadays, and also in the Middle East or UK or Europe, all of these places, you will be regarded as a highly qualified engineer, and regardless of your basic degree, which could be only like a bachelor degree or a master degree. The third point is that the candidate, he or she must have shown the evidence of expertise and gone through the difficult part to prove themselves that how they achieved it. So it's always the high recognition for the people who always hold the chartered engineer qualification. And the lastly, that the person must have demonstrated the professional attitude and valued by the employers and the customers. So the engineers who must have or the engineer who hold this qualification is always showing the professional attitude rather than a casual attitude towards the any of the project which they've been given a baton for. Okay, so far does anybody has any questions, or are we still sleeping, or we're still with me? Anybody has any questions? Are you with me? You can unmute yourself and you can say, so that's okay.
Yes, sir, all good. You can proceed. You are going very well.
Okay then. Okay, let me share it again, and then we'll move to the next part of the presentation. Okay, so if you are with me so far, which we discussed about that, what are the benefits of becoming a chartered engineer and what exactly the chartered engineer is. Now let's talk about how to become one. So this particular slide is showing that how to become a professionally recognized and the requirements of becoming the chartered engineer. Okay. So the Engineering Council UK requires three main components for this qualification. The number one is your education. So the engineering qualification is absolutely necessary to demonstrate the basic knowledge and understanding of the engineering projects. Now, second thing is what we call as IPD, or initial professional developing. This IPD, or initial professional development, is a crucial for graduate engineers. Graduate engineer means that the person who just completed their degree. So we just graduated. So after fourth year, you would be receiving your college degree, which is called a graduate engineer. That's the terminology they use in the UK. So it's crucial for graduate engineers to acquire various skills while working on the different projects. Candidates are expected to keep the records, set targets, discuss projects with their mentors, and outline path to achieve skills. Once all the skills are achieved at the required level, they must be signed off by the mentor. And we will be discussing this point in much more detail later on. And lastly, this is called the professional competencies. So professional competencies and personal commitment to the professional course are evaluated by the examiners based on the evidence presented in the portfolio of evidence in the report. So these are the main three requirements, but you will start your journey, obviously, what you are doing right now as becoming the engineer, first of all, so that your education has to be completed. And then the rest of the part, which I'll be discussing in a little bit more detail. And this one is, again, we'll be going through this professional review as well at the end of the slides. Okay, so let's talk about the routes to become CEng for the professional review. So the first one is your standard route. Now, Usually that doesn't happen in India, but I think many people can take their own initiative and do that. So in this one, once you received your bachelor degree or master degree, you join in any of the company to gain the experience. And in the UK, if your company is providing you with the standard route, what you will be doing is that you will be discussing your basic skills with your mentor, who usually are the chartered or veteran engineer who is in the industry for a number of years. And then, as I shown in the earlier slide, that this is a bucket, and then you have a lot of gaps, and these skills have been now basically pouring out. So you need to start plugging those gaps to fill the bucket. And once you reach to the brim, obviously you become a chartered engineer. So these holes will be identified by your mentors or by yourself, and then you will be working towards to plug these gaps. That's the idea. So in the initial professional development, you'll be discussing all your um, weaknesses or the skills which you need to acquire with your mentor, and the mentor will help you to put you on the projects where you can start plugging your gaps. And usually that every 3 months, these will be reviewed by with your mentor, and there is always a goal plan which will be made for the person who wish to become a chartered engineer in the future. And each time this will be signed off by your mentor. So that's the standard route. And once you signed off everything with the required level of competency, then you can approach to any of your institute like ICE or CIST or anybody that I wanted to appear for my professional review, and then they will go through your plans, and ultimately you have to sit in the interview and stuff like that. There is also a route called the individual route. Okay, so there have been a lot of complaints happened over the years that not everybody has gone through the standard route, or sometimes the companies do not offer this standard route. So this is called the individual route. Now, this individual route is that people who have been in the industry and working on the projects for a number of years. This is used to be called as experience engineer route. Now it's called individual route, but I mean, that's only just the name. So if you do not have accredited qualification means that the engineering council has to certify your degree based on the things which you learned in your university. Now, if you do not have those, then you need to write a technical report, or the one called a further learning report. And once you have received the acceptance of your further learning report or technical report, then you will be given as the same as the degree level, and then you can start your journey from there. So you basically like starting from -1 to reach to 0, then but you start your journey. And also for the individual route, that people who have a number of years of experience, they just wanted to showcase that, yes, I have got all the skills, and over the years I've gained all the skills, but I don't have papers to produce it. But these standard routes are not applicable for me, so they can also join the same thing. So I have done through the individual route, but many people also do through the standard route. So these are the two main routes for acquiring this professional qualifications. Okay. So next part is that, once you reach to this stage, after your qualifications have been satisfied, and you've been given sent by the email or sometimes a letter that, yes, we have accepted your qualifications, and we are happy for you to proceed with the next submission. So which is called the portfolio of evidence. And the last one is the professional review. So we'll discuss this one in much more detail. Now, let's examine the key components of the professional portfolio of evidence and the professional review. So the few things are very simple. One is the application form. Obviously, you need to fill the form, and whatever is in that one, you need to fill this form. Also, you need to have the two the sponsors to sponsor you. Usually, they are both chartered engineer, and they'll be sponsoring that. They are certifying all the report which you made, and there is an authenticity for those. Because those people also gone through that process, so they know the value of this, and they will not be signing up something which you put something like not correct your experience. Now, initial assessment and membership letter. Usually this letter which you received after you submit all your qualifications, and you need to show that you received on this particular date, and if there is an email, you also need to show that one. There's also part of the portfolio of evidence. The details we will discuss just in a minute for this training and experience record, because that's the big thing. Then authentications of your training and experience records of sheets. So basically what they're expecting is somebody who's going to do the professional qualifications, they've been expected to have the training for 5 days a week, 5 days in a year. So roughly about 40 hours of the training should be received. This is called the CPD, so continuous professional development. Either you can read some additional things, or you attend the lectures like these, or many things that you need to keep a record of. And then they are expecting that in the last 3 years, you've been consistently following this one to improve your knowledge. So what you usually think is that once you've done your degree, that you don't need to update your knowledge, but then a lot of things are happening in the real world, and people who've been trying to follow those footsteps, then they'll be guarded more value to it. So, and this is forever. This is not for just only to passing the professional review or becoming a chartered engineer, but this is for life, that until you actually leave the profession, which is you're at the retirement age, you still need to continuously develop this one CPD. And sometimes they've been asking, I've been asked actually to provide my continuous professional development record, so that they have been knowing that what I'm doing over the years, and what are the things which have been now continuously been engaged in the real world. Project synopsis is very important, which is only a 1 page, but then in the next phase of this particular portfolio of evidence, once it's accepted, you need to do the presentation for 15 minutes. So what they're expecting is that they need to know the project, what you're going to present, and what are your roles and responsibilities in those projects, and how you achieved all the skills which is required for you to do it. So they require just only a brief note, which is only a 1 page. Sometimes it's very difficult to even come up with a 1 page note, but that's how it is. So that's what it's called, project synopsis. We already discussed about the CPD, so continuous professional development we already discussed. Then they also require your professional development plans. So once you become chartered, then what are your plans? So you need to give at least 2 years of your next development plan. So you can say, okay, I do not have enough experience in, say, contract management, I'm going to do that. Or I wanted to enhance my knowledge into health and safety side, or I want to go for road safety audit, or anything which you feel that you need to enhance your knowledge, or where your career is going to take. They're going to look into those development objectives as well. There is also called SWOT analysis. So it's a strength and a weakness analysis, which you need to show that what are the strengths and what are the weaknesses, and how you're going to overcome that. And you need to do the development plan accordingly. Rest is simple, which is the application fee, and the appendices, which is where you can provide further details of your training and experience records. We are going to discuss in a minute. So in the training and experience form, these are the main 5 competencies which you're going to be assessed for. So first one is your knowledge and understanding. The second one is your application to practice. So whatever the knowledge you have, you need to show the evidence that you have been consistent about applying those knowledge. You don't have only just the knowledge, but you have done the application of that knowledge into the practical sense. You need to show your technical and commercial leadership. So these are very important, where you do not need to be expert in the all the subjects. Like, I'm not expert in the geotechnical side of it, but then I should know that, if I am designing a road, or I'm designing a building, or if I'm working on some particular project, and I need to have these sort of skills, I should be able to understand that these particular expertise is required for this much amount of time. The report is that much valuable. What are the things which I need to extract from those reports, and when they can be plugged in and plugged out. So there you need to show that technical and commercial leadership. If you hire somebody for small period of time, obviously there is a cost associated with that one. So you need to be understanding that these costs are well been taken care of during the time of the project, or if it is going further than that, then you need to probably discuss with your line managers, or you might need to discuss with the client that these things were not expected. So, for example, if I opened one of the particular like a open ground, but then I found there is like archaeological issues to those, and then I need to hire an archaeologist. Obviously, nobody knew before we opened the ground, and there is obviously the cost associated with that one, and there could be some delays in the project delivery. So these are the things which you need to be taken care of as important as it is, and immediately that need to be notified and need to be dealt with. So you are not waiting for something, so that you need to show those kind of skills as a professional in the professional review. The D is your interpersonal skills. So interpersonal skills means that you have the good enough capacity to deal with the people and the various organizations as a stakeholder. So you should be very well connected with in terms of the written communication, in terms of informal and formal communication. You should be good enough for the report writing or letter writings. You should be able to attend the meetings, how you and various ways and means that you should be able to attend the meetings. You should be able to present something if necessary. All of these are going into this interpersonal skills. There is also one more, which is very, very, very important, is the health and safety aspect of it. I think in India, it's not that considered very well, but in the UK and Europe, they are highly important. The reason being that, they consider that, even one death or one accident is too many. So how much care has been taken during the time of your project at the design stage, at the concept stage, at the delivery stage, and even at the end of, like, say, for example, if I designed the building, have I designed the building to last for, say, 100 years? And then after, what will happen? How I'm going to demolish that? So have you considered all of these? And do you have the understanding of those? So these health and safety is also very, very important. And that's also considered into the interpersonal skills. And the last one is the personal commitment. Are you a committed person to either to all the codes and standards and not doing anything wrongdoings, or accepting the bribes, or doing something which that this is not the correct approach? So these are the personal commitment which obviously you need to show that where you have demonstrated those, and have you been any incident where you have been subjected to.
પેમેન્ટ આવી ગયા અંદર.
Sorry?
પેમેન્ટ આવી જાય તો મારે એવરેજ ગ્રાઉન્ડ લેવલ 4.5 મીટર હું લઈ લઉં. સમજ્યો?
Hello?
But
Hello? Yeah, I thought there was some caution or something. Okay, fine.
Niren, how do they ensure that personal commitment? How do they ensure that person is clean and is only practicing the righteous?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Actually, in the personal commitment, you need to show that there have been some incidences that you've been offered a bribe, or you've been offered different things where this particular thing is kind of difficult. But then I think they will be asking questions during your in the interview that they will put you on the spot, basically, that they will give some like a kind of situations where they feel that if the person is not highly committed to the codes and conducts of the thing, then they will be falling out with something else. So this is again a personal commitment, but the personal commitment is also, if you widen the envelope, like, for example, if I am not responsible for the road which has been now currently been built next to my home, but if I see there is an issue happening or somebody is accepting a bribe, something that I am not the responsible person, but have I informed this one to the higher authorities or not? So these are kind of, they are looking for as a personal commitment. I mean, it's because it's subjective, it's very difficult to prove. But
yes, it is subjective because it can be manipulated.
It can be manipulated, yes, and they're trying to see that it's like less manipulated as possible. So if your company has a policy that okay, the company cannot give out a gift of more than, say, $50 during the time of Christmas, are you handing out $50,000 of the gift to somebody who's probably like one of your client or something? So these are the things which they're looking for. So you can say that I've been adhered to these company policies, and I know these policies, this is how it's been done, and so far there was no incidents reported against me, something like that. So that's basically just a personal commitment. But yes, it's difficult to prove because it's more of a subjective thing.
Yes.
Okay. Then once you submit your portfolio of evidence, after the portfolio of evidence, then there will be these portfolio evidence will be shared for the examiners to review all of this. And once they were happy with that, there is also, they call it as the acceptance of portfolio of evidence. You receive that letter, and also in the few days time, so you will be also receiving the letter or email that you'll be now called for the professional review. Now, this professional review usually happens in most of these organizations for 2 times in a year. So usually happens in March and sometime in like September, October. But obviously that will be notified like almost like 2 months in advance that when you're going to do your professional review. Now remember this, that I have mentioned about the project synopsis. So you will be presenting this one for 15 minutes as your presentation on the project synopsis, which you chose earlier, and there'll be approximately 60 minutes of the interview, but it can be even go beyond that. Some people have been gone through almost like 2 hours or 2.5 hours of the interview until they are satisfied. Now, when I say that all these competencies need to be shown, there is also a level of competency. So first is the appreciation and knowledge. Usually like A and K is more or less the same. So say, for example, knowledge and understanding, which you have gained the knowledge by learning the university degree, then you already have this A and K. But then the next one is you need to show the experience. Okay. So this is the experience which you need to show in your report. And you also need to show in the next level, say, for example, you worked on one particular project and then you work on the next project, and you obviously you do not require anybody to supervise you. You do not require anybody to constantly looking over your shoulder. So you are having the ability to do on your own. And once you achieve this, and once your mentor or mentors, normally like 1 or 2, are certifying you that you achieved this competence, is called A, which is a knowledge and understanding, for example, and you receive the ability, which is the B, then all of this has to be B. Once you've done that, then your mentor will say, yes, okay, I'll be signing your sponsorship authentication form, and then you can submit your portfolio of evidence. And if you are going for your individual route, again, your sponsor will ask that, can you show me all your evidences that you reach to ability, which is you're not looking for anybody to look over your shoulders or constantly helping you out. You do not need a spoon feeding to achieve those competencies. Okay. Now, this is basically kind of a flow chart where my experience, I'll be sharing this one. So the first, you need to become a CIST member, which I become much earlier. You do not
Niren,
need to
sorry
do
to
it.
interrupt you. Niren,
Yeah, sure.
that means a fresh graduate cannot become a chartered engineer.
No, they can. I mean, there are a lot of these professional bodies. They are accepting you as the student member. Okay, and the benefit of becoming a student member is that you'll be started acquiring this CPD, which are being held for like these sort of um, courses or say presentations and talks, so then they can start acquiring. So it takes a while, yes, definitely. But yes, like a student cannot become a chartered engineer for sure. It will take them time, and that's what is called a professional engineer. So the person who can be relied upon.
Is there any some baseline time period like 5 years, 3 years, 2 years when you can
Not
apply?
really. No, not really. But usually people, like, there is like a high number of people who've been passed. They are like within the 3 to 4 years after their graduation. But this is very normal. And people who are, and also there is another bracket, which is also like a number of people becoming chartered is like, having 15 years to 20 years of experience. So this is usually, that's how happened, like 3 to 4 years, like high number of people are passing to become a chartered engineer. And also there is a bracket, which is 15 to 20 years of bracket, also becoming a chartered engineer. But obviously the other ones, they are usually going through the individual route or say professional, the experienced route. The first one, usually they are like a standard route.
Okay, because you need to have a substantial body of work now.
Sorry?
You need to have a substantial body of work to present it to them.
Yes, definitely. They've been drilling this one down to a limit, because I have gone through the training of the examiner, and actually speaking, that is even more difficult than becoming chartered engineer, because they need to show the evidence that how this candidate have acquired those skills and how you certified this. So if any candidate who failed to achieve that in that particular interview, that examiner has the onus to prove, unfortunately, to prove that why he's failed and what are the areas which we have not looked at into. And it can be contested, and many times it does happen. So they need to have more evidence for you to certify that yes, these are the things which we have gone through, and that's why we are accepting that he has been tick box for number one, A and B and C in all these competencies, and he achieved all this in ability. So it's even more difficult for them. So that's what they're asking, like number of questions to verify and making sure that all the abilities, all the competencies have been reached to ability level. Okay, so this is a simple flow chart for becoming the chartered engineer. So the first one is that you need to become a CIST member or ICE member or anything. I mean, you don't need to do it immediately. You can do it when you are ready, if you're experienced engineer. Then the next step is the educational qualifications verified. So many people have their educational qualifications from the various universities, and some of the universities, they are immediately recognized. Some of the universities which are usually from India and various parts of the world, they're not been immediately verified. So what they will asking you is the your degree for sure, and then also the transcript. And once they go through your transcript, they've been vetted and verified in line with the Engineering Council UK's guidelines. And once it's done that, then they will give you a email or letter, something like this, that yes, been verified, and now you can move to the next stage, which is the submitting your portfolio of evidence. And we discussed this one at length about this portfolio of evidence. Then once your acceptance of the portfolio of evidence, you will reach to this last stage, which is this professional review interview. Once you complete your interview, based on your interview results, and if it is good, then you will be receiving the chartered engineer. If not, then they will be providing you with some comments about where you need to improve, or what are the things which they feel that you have not demonstrated enough evidence for them to be certified to a chartered engineer. So that becomes your goal, and the person who are really willing to do it, they will be going through those goals, plugging those gaps again, and to fill that bucket, and ultimately they will be receiving that chartered engineer qualification. Okay. So in the professional interview, where you need to be present in this 15 minutes, so usually the people they pick the project which they've been heavily involved in, and they need to showcase all their skills and experience in usually one, or some people also do the two projects, but I mean, sometimes it's difficult within that 15 minutes of presentation to prove everything. And these presentation, they will not be interrupted at all. You just present everything by yourself, so you need to be having the crystal clear your script and all the evidences which you feel that that is necessary for you to go through this presentation and to be certified. Then the interview, which I said that roughly it lasts for 60 minutes, but it can be anything. There is no real boundary to this, but usually lasts for 60 minutes, because you need to be having a discussion about this particular 15 minutes presentation, your portfolio of evidence, your overall general engineering and the technical knowledge, and also the leadership and all the other things which they can be giving you. Some examiners are also good to give you a scenario based approach, and they've been expecting some answers from you. And if you are being satisfactorily satisfying their answers, then obviously you'll be receiving this certificate, which this is mine. You'll be giving this Engineering Council UK, which is this chartered engineer. And once you receive that one, you can write next to your name that my name is Niren Mehta. I have done my bachelor's, so BEng I've also done my master's or MEng, and also now I can write to a CEng, which is the chartered engineer. There will be a number here, which is the my registration number. This is going to be unique number for me all the way through. And if the company wish to verify these records, they can immediately do so from going to this Engineering Council UK or in the CIST website, and they can plug into this number and they'll be seeing all of these information by themselves. So you cannot forge any documents as far as possible, so this is the whole idea. I hope that this is the well informative, and it's completely a different topic than what you usually have, and open the floor for any questions you may have. I think we have a good audience here. So anybody who wish to ask any questions?
Sir, may I ask?
Yes, yeah, sure.
Sir, myself, Ujjwal Solanki.
Yeah.
Also a civil engineer.
Okay.
And Institute of Engineers has given the certificate of this chartered engineer, and as well as Institute of Engineers also started the professional engineer certificate.
Yes.
So I am interested to know whether both are compatible or it is something different.
No, because in engineering industry, Engineering Society of Indian Society of Engineers is usually they are not going through this process of taking the exam. So that's why it's not widely recognized. It is just that it proves that you are a member of that professional body and you can attend some CPD courses. But I think that's about it. There is not a real value attached to this. Unfortunately, it used to be the case. I mean, I think during the time of after the independence, but then I think slowly and gradually it's been faded away. Many institutes such as Sri Lanka also started the same thing, but they are still going through the same process which now the UK is doing and other countries are doing. But unfortunately, India is not doing that one, and that's why many engineers, they have been given this chartered engineer from the Indian Society of Engineers. Unfortunately, this carries not really that valuable, and now obviously it's not recognized internationally either.
Hello.
Yes.
Bhagirath Solanki here, sir.
Yes.
I want to know the difference or compatibility between PE certificates given by US based organizations that gives this PE certificate and this chartered engineer certificate. Both are recognized by each other, or those are totally different?
No, both are recognized by each other, not recognized by each other, but it's a similar sort of skills which you will show. Now in the US, they have been taking the exams actually for the PE. So what it usually happens is that they've been asking you to go through the exams, which are your theoretical exams. They will not recognize your qualifications at all, and you need to go unless your college is in Washington Accord. Then it's a different story. But otherwise, you have to go through the exam, which is all your 4 years of your course. You'll be given, I think, this 3 hours exam or something, and you'll be asking the questions about all of these into this 3 hours exam. Once you pass that exam, then there is also, I think, there is also interview, and then you get the professional engineers. So it's a similar sort of thing where you also need to demonstrate the similar sort of skills. They are not, unfortunately, exactly acceptable, but at the same time, if you passed one, I think it's highly likely chances that you can pass the other ones as well. And sometimes they've been given a concessions if you, like for example, if you have the UK chartered engineer, then if you go to Australia, there is also called the Engineers Australia. There is another organization which is similar to Engineering Council UK. And they've been accepting this one that you don't need to do everything, but there is like only many concessions been given if you have hold one of the this one qualification. So some countries they do recognize each other, some countries they don't. But I think more important is the person's skills, because the point is that when you wanted to be employed, the employer wish to know that am I employing somebody who has been going through this grueling process, or am I just employing somebody who just passed through the normal university? Like for example, in India, probably like 2 lakh engineers being passed every year. But then, probably only maybe 200 people are actually going through this process. And maybe only 100 people are being certified as a chartered engineer. So you're talking about 100 people which have been vetted through compared to the rest of the people, 2 lakh people. So obviously the employer wish to pay more and also employment and those people rather than finding the diamond from that 2 lakh people.
Okay, sir. One last question from my side.
Sure.
I want to know your opinion here. If you have read the news or aware, in Gujarat, they have recently introduced one authority called GCPC. Full form is that Gujarat Council for Professional Civil Engineers, and they have
Okay.
started kind of similar process of registration, taking the exams, and then gives the licensor to practice. So when they have introduced many of the local local groups of the different cities have opposed it. So what's your opinion on this? Is our engineers in India are not that literate, or they don't have knowledge of the importance of this licensing procedure? Your opinion, sir.
I think we're going into this kind of a politics here, but at the same time, what I feel is that, we always wanted to oppose everything regardless of understanding the importance of it. The reason being that, we and also we take the systems, but unfortunately then we broke that system multiple times. Like, for example, in the UK, which I gone through the process, no matter even if you are like my friend or if you are my professor or something, if I appear for my professional engineers review, I'll be asking the same questions. I'll be grueling you at the same level. There is no mercy given, and if I wanted to fail you, I will be failing you anyway, regardless whether, and that's mainly like completely in a black and white. It doesn't mean that, no, I really wanted to fail the candidate, I didn't want to pass the candidate. There would not be any hanky panky going on. And if there is any way and means, and if government has done, I mean, I am not fully aware of this whole thing, but if government has taken that initiative, I think everybody should accept it, this one, and everybody should encourage this. But also making sure that that system is not going to get corrupted, because what happens that immediately you'll find, oh, okay, I know the Mr. Suez Damodaria, okay, I'll go and meet him, I'll do all the buttering process, for me to get it passed. That should not have happened at all. And for this engineering council, you never know until the last day that who is going to be your examiner. So there is no way you can find out. But that should have been happened, and I don't think that this oppose should have happened. To be honest, if you have gone through even that broken system, if there is a possibility, I think everybody should go through that. Because understanding that, why people are saying that, oh, I am the Sikshit Berozgar, but then your knowledge is not applicable in the real world, then why somebody is going to hire you in the first place? You need to understand that there is an industry where it requires a lot of money for somebody to pay for it. So if somebody making any mistake, it will be a highly expensive mistakes on their part. They are the one who's doing the business. Like if you make any issue in terms of, for example, a building, and I done the wrong setting out, for example, then what will happen? It's an expensive mistake. You might be paid like 5,000, 10,000 rupees a month, but that 5,000 rupees a month or 10,000 rupees a month, that person has made a big issue for the 1,000 crore worth of a building. So that's even a bigger challenge. That person will be gone away, long gone, but the other person is going to pay the price. So who's going to employ those people? So that's why usually this graduate engineers are not getting the job offers, especially because of these reasons. So if there is a way to get them certified regardless of their university, I think it is a much more good initiative. If Gujarat government has done it, I think that's an excellent job. Should not be opposite. Actually, in the space that we should have do this one more and more, and it should have been like only one across the India. Rather than having this multiple. So then you don't know who's going to be your examiner. Is it from somebody from Kerala or somebody from I don't know, West Bengal or anybody, So there is very less chance that, there will be any hanky-panky going on.
Okay, thank you, sir, for your valuable response.
Anybody else wants to ask question? I don't mind, if you're asking in Gujarati, Hindi, I don't mind any of them. Okay, so English should not be a barrier. Suresh? You can see that degree is lying just here. I've been displaying this one even in my home. Because it takes me for a while, and unfortunately, I did not have any mentors initially to make me understand what I'm trying to make you understand. So it took me a long while,
Sir,
but anyway, got it.
will you, sir, will you please share your email ID so in future, if required, we have any query, we can email
Yeah,
you
sure,
for.
sure, sure. No problem, no
Okay.
problem.
Thank you, sir.
Because usually what happens is that, and this is true for everybody, that whenever you start this journey, you require many people to support you before you actually reach to this portfolio of evidence. So what exactly happens is that while you're preparing this portfolio of evidence, I can even go into detail as well. Because each competency, you have only 500 words. So when you are trying to prove yourself that you have achieved this, you have only 500 words to prove it. My biggest issue when I was going through this process is that each one of them I have like 2000 words, and I have to cram them into the 500 words just to prove that it has the same information or the same value. So I've been asking number of people who have already gone through that process that can you read as a third person to understand that is it still the same value or the meanings has changed? Because for me, all of them I know my back of my hand. But unfortunately, when you compress it, you might lose the essence of those. So that took me almost like 6 months, to only the compress it, not only to write it, but compressing it takes me 6 months. I've been asking number of people who I approach them even by LinkedIn or people whom I know, and fortunately they all helped me out. That yes, there are the better way of saying it. There is a better way of doing it. If you do this, you'll be using not 3 words but only 1 word, so that saving like 60% of my space. Likewise, and obviously you can do a lot of things like providing a lot of information in the appendices to prove your point. So if some examiner wants to see more details, obviously they have a lot of evidence to prove. But in the portfolio of evidence itself, only you have the 500 words each, so you have 2500 words, and cramming this one is very difficult. Also, when you go through this professional development plan where that you have to show that in next 2 years what you're going to get achieved. So imagine that you already become a chartered, now what next? And I think this question is also very important when where you wanted to take your career forward. So you need to showcase that these are the areas where you are kind of lagging or you wanted to improve yourself, which you may received as like ability, but then you said no, I just want to have more and more experience in terms of contract management, in terms of health and safety, in terms of road safety audit, anything. And to putting those plan across also sometimes takes a while. So more and more help is obviously better. I think I've been going through with like 7 or 8 people before I actually submitted my portfolio of evidence. And the comment which I received during my interview is that they called it as watertight, that they did not have much questions for me to ask because I have already shown everything into my portfolio of evidence. But you don't have to be. You can still prove in your portfolio of evidence as well. Yes, I think I saw some hands raise up. I think there's one more. Suresh, I can't hear you. Can't hear you. I think you're on mute, Suresh. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. No, unmute yourself. Majority of them, yes. I mean, Suresh's question, I think, just to tell everybody, is UK certificate valid in all the foreign countries in the jobs? Not all the foreign countries, but majority of them. And because it's highly recognizable, so in India, because in India there are a lot of which we nowadays call as a GDCs, okay, so global design centers, and these are the companies where the companies are having their design offices in India, and if you hold these qualifications, obviously that is more recognizable. Hello? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. So yes, in India, it's always highly recognizable. In Middle East also, yes. European countries, UK, definitely. As I said, Australia, you can have this sort of trade-off program where you can go through that process, but it will be much easier for somebody who has already gained the qualification compared to who has done the first time. Australia and New Zealand, both same. US, not really, because US has that complete different policy, but people who've gone through this grueling process, surely they will be able to achieve this, but they call it as a professional engineers, and there's a different ways and routes to achieve those qualifications. So yes, majority of companies that, you will be highly recognizable. Suresh, your voice is not audible at all. I think you need to unmute yourself. Or type your question either way. I mean, I don't know whether you can unmute you or not. Yes, now I can hear you. Yes. Okay.
Okay. Actually, it was connected to the Bluetooth speaker. That is why the error was coming. So,
Okay.
On behalf of Government Engineering College Dahod, I would like to thank you for arranging such which is particularly important from the professional field, which the professionals who are working in the field.
Yes.
Not only in the civil engineering field, but different disciplines of engineering. So, thanks for accepting our invitation for the expert talk and delivering such a different variety of and sharing the exposure to the amongst the engineering students and amongst the faculty. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Should we end up the session now?
Yeah, if anybody wants to have a question, or I mean, Suresh has all the details. So if somebody wants to even ask a question later on also, okay, or they can write me the email as well. No issues.
Okay, thank you. So we will end up the call. Thank you.
Niren. It was very enlightening and added to my knowledge also. Thank you so much for the.
Thank you so much, Anand sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.